Hey guys, Harrison101 back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and this is groundbreaking. After nearly 220 videos on this channel, this is the first ever MotoGP video channel on the Harrison101HD account. I hope you guys are excited for more of this content and footage down the line. In case you don't know, the game you're watching is MotoGP 1011 on the Xbox 360. It's the most recent of the MotoGP games out on next generation consoles. In case you didn't know already, I know MotoGP 13 is on the way, and I'll be switching to that game when it comes out in June. I believe it's in June, I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think there's been an official release date, I just think the trailers will tease it's going to be either end of May, June, or so around grid kind of time. So this is going to be the season review series for MotoGP, so I'm going to be covering all 18 races in the MotoGP calendar. It's going to be wicked. It's going to be just like the Formula 1 series, but maybe a little bit more in depth, mainly because it's a lot more complicated and whatnot as well. Obviously, because it's the first time that you may be a new viewer, you may not have watched. So if you weren't watching, maybe I can introduce you to the sport a little bit more as well. But we had our first race of the year in Qatar this past night, and this video is going to be up really late, but that's because Qatar's a night race. So the time differences kind of make it look like it's kind of like an American Grand Prix, where it's like really kind of late if you're in the UK and whatnot. But in case you didn't know, the two-time reigning world champion Jorge Lorenzo wins in quite comfortable fashion in Qatar by just over 6 seconds. But this race will all be about the return of Valentino Rossi, the Doctor, for his first race back with the Yamaha factory racing team. And after a average qualifying session where he qualified in 7th and a shaky start, he eventually got past Stefan Bradl, broke that second tier pack, caught up to the back of the chasing pack of the two Repsol Hondas, Dani Pedrosa, who had started out in 2nd place, and Marc Marquez, who was in 3rd, and obviously Cal Crutchlow, who was in 4th for the Monster Yamaha Tech 3 team, and eventually passed all 3 of them en route to a clear 2nd place. That was the main highlight of the race. It was that second block of 4 guys. Rossi broke the 3rd pack, and he was closing in on the 2nd pack. And Dani Pedrosa was in charge of that 2nd pack and in 2nd place for most of the time. But all of a sudden, with about 8 laps to go, Marc Marquez, using the slipstream you get on that massive first straight, pulled through, took 2nd place. And as Rossi was gaining up to the back, he tried to pass Cal Crutchlow and outbroke him into the first corner. Crutchlow making a key mistake, running off the AstroTurf and off the track, managed to keep it upright and would eventually settle down into a comfortable 5th place in the end. But Marc Marquez was another one who had an outstanding rookie ride for the Repsol Honda team and eventually came in 3rd ahead, in fact over 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Dani Pedrosa. So the big news, Valentino Rossi is back and looks like he's back to his old ways. I mean, if Rossi had qualified in the top 3, got on the front row, then he maybe could have challenged Lorenzo for a race win, because his pace was right up there with Lorenzo's pretty much the whole way through once he had some clear air beneath him. So the full rundown. Now, in case you didn't know, compared to Formula 1, the point scoring system is different. It's not like in Formula 1 where the top 10 score points. In MotoGP, the first 15 riders all score points. It's a 25-point system, but it's spaced out differently over the 15 top positions rather than 10 like you see in Formula 1. So, Jorge Lorenzo wins. I mentioned this as well, the point system goes 25, 20, 16, 13, 11, 10, then down in increments of 1, down to 1 for 15th place. So, Jorge Lorenzo wins, takes 25 points. Valentino Rossi came in 2nd for 20 points. Marc Marquez 3rd, again, an incredible ride from him and the rookie to come 3rd for 16 points. Dani Pedrosa gets 13 points for 4th, another solid drive from the other Spaniard in the sport. Cal Crutchlow, a solid 5th place for the Tech 3 team in 5th. And the best of the rest, Alvaro Bautista in 6th place for the new Gresini Honda team. Those white and green paint jobs are really quite weird. But Alvaro Bautista ended up in 6th, ahead of the 2 Ducatis, Andrea Dovizioso and Nicky Hayden. Another solid ride in his first time for the new Pramac satellite team, with Andrea Iannone coming in 9th and Ben Spies rounding off the top 10. His teammates there. Then it comes the CRT Aspar team of Alexis Espargaro and Randy DePugny in 11th and 12th. Hector Barbera in 13th for the Avintia team. Yoni Hernandez in his top flight debut with Paul Byrne Motorsport in 14th place, and Hiroshi Ayama gets the last of the points for the Avinta team in 15th. Claudio Corti, Michael Laverty and Lucas Pezek were the other finishers. The 6 guys who didn't make it: Colin Edwards, Danielo Petrucci, Stefan Bradl, who fell off the bike, Bradley Smith, who had another crash, Brian Starin, and Carol Abraham, who sadly binned it on the opening lap. In case you're wondering, fastest lap of the race was Marc Marquez on the 3rd lap with a 155.4. Very, very fast race pace, mainly because they got rid of the qualifying tyres, which you saw in qualifying. So the qualifying pace now is almost matching the race pace. So the only 2 guys are in the 54s in qualifying, and those were Jorge Lorenzo and Pulsar Cal Crutchlow. So yeah, a lot of things to talk about. I mean, could Rossi challenge for a title again if the bike is solid and obviously he can keep this form going? What do you make of Marc Marquez? Could he eventually become the #1 guy at Repsol Honda again? Danny Pedrosa's always been that decent kind of rider, but he can never seem to stay healthy. That's what I seem to find. Like, he's always nursing some kind of injury that ultimately holds him back from being a true title contender. And it didn't help when Casey Stoner was the head man in that team even before he retired. So could Danny Pedrosa be left behind by yet another Spaniard? I know Julian Ryder on the Eurosport coverage mentioned that Pedrosa was going to be unemployed and out of that Repsol seat if Casey Stoner had stayed on, because they were going to bring in Marc Marquez from Moto2 anyway, if that were to happen. So again, a lot of controversy there with Pedrosa. He's still got kind of a little bit to prove with that team as well. Cal Crutchlow, again, I think of all the other teams that aren't on a factory bike, he seems to be the best guy, and he seems to be able to run it in there with the big boys, which is great to see. So again, if he keeps it going, who knows what will happen. I'm also going to take a quick look at Moto2 and Moto3. In the second division, Moto2, Paul Espargaro won the opening Grand Prix in a nail-biting fight to the death on the final lap with Scott Redding, who came in second, Takaki Nakagimi in third for the Ultrans Racing team. And in Moto3, Lewis Salem wins the opening race for the Red Bull KTM team. Yeah, another Red Bull having some success in another form of motorsport. Who would have thought it? Maverick Vinales in second, and he beat Alex Rins by just 6 1/1000ths of a second over the line, ahead of 4th place Alex Marquez as well. It was a Spanish 1, 2, 3, and 4. The 2 Estrella Galicia bikes from KTM in 3rd and 4th. The top 5 covered by less than a second, so definitely watch that race. It was a massive 5-way scrap for the race winners. Definitely worth tuning in. But trust me guys, there is no such thing as a boring Moto3 race. They're all brilliant. So yeah, if you saw MotoGP, let me know what you thought of the race. Let me know what you think of Valentino Rossi being back. Any other key performances you want to talk about, like Marc Marquez. And overall, it was an absolutely cracking race. There was fantastic passing. Everybody raced clean. It was a wonderful, wonderful race. I mean, Lorenzo took off from the start, but nobody gives a shit about Jorge Lorenzo, let's be honest. Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi, without question, stole the show tonight. So let me know what you thought of the race in general, and if you want to see more of these videos, please let me know. Please leave a like if you're for a new series as well. That would be awesome. In the meantime, I've been Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Sayonara.